having to fan my face down because it's boiling in it. I think I'm gonna need a lot of powder today. It's always good when you start filming a video on red battery. Excellent. Hi everyone, so today I'm gonna be talking you through a few dupes and drugstore alternatives to some of my favourite high-end products. I've seen a lot of you asking for a video like this, so I thought today I would just get on with it and show you a few of my favourite kind of drugstore alternatives. So getting on to that, because I'm totally not in a rambly mood today, I'm gonna get started with base. And I think foundations and tinted moisturisers are actually a really hard thing to come by in terms of dupes. There's not too many similar kind of formulas when it comes to kind of high-end and drugstore, unless you go to kind of one of the major brands that are kind of made in the same factory as a few high-end ones. And then you kind of get a few similar formulas. But the L'Oreal product that I have today is actually very similar to the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. And this is obviously my opinion on how both of these sit on my skin. For some other people, they might find that these are two completely different products on their skin, but for me this is very similar. And this is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Matte Foundation, which actually isn't as matte as you might think. It's still got a very kind of luminous look to it, but it is kind of very matte. There's not too much kind of dewy glow going on, but it does still have kind of a luminosity to it, which is very similar to the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. A few months ago I would have said that L'Oreal True Match was closer to this than the L'Oreal 24-Hour Matte Infallible Foundation. However, it's just been reformulated and it's definitely a lot more glowy now, which is so much more up my street, but it does kind of put it out of the running for being a dupe for this. However, this is so similar. They're both very long lasting, quite luminous, but with a kind of almost matte finish. The only thing is I think the L'Oreal 24-Hour Matte has SPF in it, whereas the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk doesn't. But to be honest, I think most drugstore foundations I've come across have had SPF in them, so it's kind of a hard thing to come by. So if you've always wanted to try Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk, I'd definitely pick up this one. I recommend this foundation all the time anyway because it's awesome, but if you are specifically kind of coveting this, then definitely give this one a try first. Next up we have an eyeshadow dupe, and if you've been watching my videos for kind of more than 6 months now, you will have heard me talk about the Bittersweet Ombre Blackstar eyeshadows. These are amazing eyeshadow sticks. They're super creamy, but they set, they don't move, and they have the most gorgeous metallic sheen to them. These really are kind of one of a kind. I've never tried any other eyeshadow stick that is as beautiful as this, but in terms of a kind of drugstore alternative, it's kind of not bang on, but it is very similar in kind of colour, and the formula is kind of similar. I don't love it as much. This is the number 7 Stay Perfect Shade and Define eyeshadow stick, and this is in the shade Glistening Ray, which is a kind of very cool toned lilac-y silver kind of metallic colour, whereas the Bittersweet Ombre Blackstar in Misty Rock is a kind of lilac-y taupey colour, so they're kind of slightly different in their finish. But if you are looking for just a really pretty eyeshadow stick from the drugstore, the number 7 ones are very close to these. And it's quite interesting with the foundation that I just mentioned. I would definitely recommend the budget alternative over the high-end alternative just because of how good the foundation is, but with this one I definitely recommend splashing out if you can, and if it is ever within your budget, for the high-end alternative, because it's most definitely better, and I've never found anything on the drugstore that is as good as this. Next I have some blushes. I actually have a lot of blushes. There's a lot of blush dupes on the high street and they're all kind of very similar, so this is somewhere where you can really save your money. And the dupe I have is for Nars Doucer, and this is NYX Bittersweet, which is a very kind of taupey, browny, pinky colour. They are both very similar. One is ever so slightly darker in the pan, but actually when you swatch them on your hand, it's not really very different at all. I think Nars Doucer has actually been discontinued, so to be honest, the NYX blush is your only option. But to be honest, they're both very much of a muchness. I even think NYX have an even closer dupe. This is just the one I own, but I think there is one that is ever so slightly lighter than this as well. So if you're looking for a kind of taupey, pinky brown, definitely pick this up. These are beautiful for the autumn time as well. My next dupe is for the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Blushes, and this is a whole range of dupes. It's not even one just shade, it's a whole range. And these are the Maxfactor Cream Puff Blushes. Yeah, I haven't talked about this in a video in so long, I forgot what they were called. And the shade Lovely Pink in the Maxfactor blush is very similar to Ethereal Glow in the Hourglass blush, but to be honest, they are just so similar in formula. Even if you can't get an exact shade match, I would recommend picking up these just because the formula is beautiful and they are so super affordable. I do feel like the shimmer in the Hourglass blush is very much more refined and kind of less noticeable, but to be honest, this is just so affordable and so very similar in formula. I would recommend picking this up. Next we have what is possibly my favourite dupe of all time, just because these are two of my favourite blushes of all time, and I actually owned the Drugstore version first, and this is Rimmel's Santa Rose, which it looks very different now. It's in slightly different packaging, but that just shows how long I've had this for, and it is very, very well loved. It's a beautiful kind of natural soft pink colour, and I absolutely love it. It works so beautifully on my skin tone. It kind of gives a bit of a flush to the cheeks as well as making me look a bit more bronzed. It's a very interesting colour, and lots of other people say that as well about Benefit's Dandelion, which is basically exactly the same. In the pan they look very different, but actually once applied to the cheeks it is the exact same effect. You get a nice pink flush, but you also get a hint of tan as well. So I would definitely recommend picking up the Rimmel one first if you've been thinking about picking up Benefit's Dandelion, because this is kind of, I think, less than £5. It is insane. You don't get anywhere near as much product, but to be honest, I've had this for years and I've never used the whole thing up. Next I have two dupes in one palette, one bronzer and one blush. And the blush alternative is for Laura Mercier Lush Nectarine, which is one of my all-time favourite blushes. It's a very kind of bright peachy pink. It's really beautiful. It's got a golden shimmer that runs through it, which gives a really gorgeous glow to your cheeks. And then the bronzer alternative is for Nars Laguna bronzer, and I actually have no idea where my Laguna bronzer is, but you can find a very good dupe for both in the Tanya Burr Rosy Flush palette, which is one of my favourite affordable makeup products at the moment. It is gorgeous. The quality of this is insane. The powders feel gorgeous and have a really lovely shimmer that runs through them, but it doesn't show up at all on your cheeks, as with some drugstore products. If it has shimmer running through it, you can really see it. Like I said, with the Maxfactor and Hourglass blushes, you can really tell the difference in the kind of powder and the quality of it, but with this I literally cannot tell a difference. The blush in it is so similar to Laura Mercier's Lush Nectarine, even down to the golden shimmer that runs through it. They are basically exactly the same and I love it. This is actually so much easier for me to kind of travel with as well, as opposed to having lots of little compacts of things that just get lost and stuff. It's so easy to have this all in one. And then the bronzer is so similar to Nars Laguna as well, and the quality of the bronzer as well is amazing. It applies really beautifully. A lot of the time with drugstore bronzers I really struggle to get a lot of colour out, but this is so pigmented and so gorgeous. So this is definitely one I would recommend over Laura Mercier Lush Nectarine and Nars Laguna. Next I have some dupes for the Nars lip pencils, and this is one of those occasions where I'd say definitely splash out on the high-end version, because I don't love the drugstore alternative as much as I do the high-end one. I just absolutely love the Nars lip pencils, and they are just in a league of their own in my opinion. The dupes for these come in the form of the Maybelline Colour Drama lip crayons, and I personally don't like these as much. My friend Alex loves the Maybelline Colour Drama ones more than the Nars lip pencils, but I just don't. There's something about them that I don't really like. They feel a little bit too chalky on the lips for me. However, the colour dupes are amazing. Like, they are basically the same. So the shade Red Essential is very similar to the Nars matte lip pencil in Cruella, and then we have In With Coral, which is very similar to the Nars satin lip pencil in Lodi, if not a little bit brighter. Next up I have some affordable alternatives for every single matte liquid lipstick that there is in existence. They're all very much of a muchness unless you get a really duff one. There are now so many liquid lipsticks from so many affordable brands. The only thing I feel like you pay for with high-end matte liquid lipsticks is sometimes the formula is better and more long wearing, and mostly you just pay for a variety of colours. So for example, the Kat Von D Everlasting liquid lipsticks are my favourite, and that is because they are just in a complete league of their own in terms of the colour range. I've never seen anything like it. There's like bright oranges and bright dark purples and really gorgeous colours that you can't find anywhere else. But if you're looking for a red or a pink, then I have a few alternatives for you, because Topshop and Sephora and quite a few other brands, all of them do liquid lipsticks now. But in terms of formula, the Sephora lip creams and the Topshop Velvet lips are my favourite. The Topshop Velvet lips are often really hard to get hold of. I will try and see if I can find them in this year's autumn collection, because I don't think that they do these during the summer. They seem to just come out every winter. I talked about the Topshop Velvet lips a lot last year. I think I used them in a tutorial, but I absolutely adore these. They are brilliant. The formula of them is like bang on. They are absolutely perfect, long lasting, not kind of streaky at all. They don't move, they just set, and they are beautiful. And the Sephora lip creams are very similar. However, I would say they're ever so slightly harder to work with, but I thought I'd include this for people that don't have Topshop Beauty locally to them. Sephora do amazing matte lip creams and they're very affordable. So I think these are great, and if you're not looking for a very specific, really unique colour, I would definitely recommend these over a high-end brand, because I just think that the formula of them is great, and especially for the price, it's just awesome. However, those Kat Von Kat Von D liquid lipsticks though. And finally, I have a lip liner alternative, and this is a dupe for MAC's Soar lip pencil. This is a lip liner that I've loved for a while now. It's just the perfect kind of dark taupey nude, and the affordable alternative I found is the L'Oreal Infallible lip liner in the shade Stay Ultraviolet, and these are just so similar, it is ridiculous. I would say that the MAC lip pencil is a little bit more creamy on the lips, but aside from that, they are basically the same. So unless you're basically obsessed with MAC and love buying things from MAC, I would definitely recommend this because it is so similar and very long lasting. I think you get slightly less product in the little windy pencil, but for the price it's definitely worth looking into. My neighbour's watching Pretty Little Liars. So that is it for my dupes and drugstore alternatives video. I hope you guys like this. I really hope it helped some of you guys out, and I will see you again very soon.